in one age, called the Third Age by some,
An age yet to come.
an age long past.
A wind rose on the Geek at Arms podcast.
The wind was not the beginning,
There are neither beginnings,
nor endings to the turning of the Wheel of Time.
but it was a beginning.
Welcome to Woolheads, a Wheel of Time podcast by Geek at Arms. I'm Brian, and here's a man that I think surely must be Taviran. It's James.
The light illume you, Brian.
And you as well, James. It is the end of another season, friends. He who comes with the dawn wraps up most of the plot threads we've been following this go-around to this some degree of satisfaction. But before we go any further, here's your spoiler warning. There are some.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers not just for this episode, but for the books, and quite likely for seasons to come.
May they be many.
I hope so.
What an episode.
You think?
So,
If I'm being honest, after the last few weeks, I felt a little let down.
well, what an episode can have both positive and negative connotations.
That's true. I didn't think it was that bad to say what an episode, but I mean, it was good. But in comparison to what we've been seeing,
It's all
This
in the
felt like it.
inflection. Wow. What an episode?
that sounded very Barney Stinson.
Well, as you said, a lot of plot lines got wrapped up, and many in ways I did not see coming.
Yeah.
A lot of big hits in this episode. One of the biggest, and it's one of my first notes for production, is the Aiel fin. Wow.
Yeah,
What a look.
he looked like he stepped right out of Cats, didn't he?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure it's hard to get another gig when you look like that.
He popped up, and first, I mean, okay, maybe it's the way my brain is wired, but there was definitely a menacing air. Like, I'm going to make a deal with you, but I'd also very happily eat your skin. Which
Well, yeah, and that was
actually
the
is
point,
very
yeah.
cat-like.
Right.
So my second thought was, hello, Mr. Mistopheles.
And I thought, I'm either going to make a deal or I'm going to poop in your shoes.
Could be both. Could be both. I will say this. I'm going to give props to the makeup and prop department. You've made a cool look. Is a description of them given in the books?
Yeah, but it was vague enough that I think probably everybody came away with a different idea of what they looked like.
Well, this was theirs. They definitely wanted something
Yeah.
foreign, something alien-like, but also
They
had
got that.
a fox mentality, because there is the relationship with the game,
Mhm.
fox and I just forgot the rest of it.
Snakes and foxes.
Snakes and foxes. Thank you. That's right. I think one of the Aelfin were supposed to be more of like the fox-looking entities. The Eelfin, the snakes.
Yeah, I don't remember which one was which. I found myself surprised when he appeared on screen that he had fur, because in
Yeah.
my imagination, they never did. But it's like, oh, well, they're foxes, so that makes sense that they would have fur.
Yeah. I will say, the Mr. Mistopheles joke aside, I never got like the weird furry cats vibe off of it. Maybe it was because of how well Matt played the scene.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't treating it like a joke. It was easy for the viewer to not view it as one either. And also the gravitas of the situation when he's badgering Matt. What do you want? What is it you desire? And then Matt would just say something, and the creature would go done, and it would reverberate through.
And
like
they had that little push in and pull out real fast.
Yes, great effect. Like a deal has been made and has been sealed, not just in word but in reality. Like the reality of this realm has been affected by it. I'm like, that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was a cool combination of set dressing, makeup, costume, and sound effect altogether.
Yeah, I was distracted by the visual effects, but the performances were spot on.
Agreed.
Something else that distracted me, and this is a whole kind of list of things. Matt's costume, what was he wearing?
His weird V-neck tunic, like not just V-neck, but like belly button V-neck.
Yeah.
With his I haven't seen a jacket like that since Jim Carrey's The Mask did the did his Moroccan song
Right.
thing
Yes,
in the
that's what it
movie.
was kind of reminding me of.
Yes,
Was a mariachi.
yeah,
I was trying to think. It was like it's not really bullfighter thing or
yeah.
those horse
Like
performers in Andalusia, but it's something kind of Spanish or
yeah,
Mexican.
he's going to distract the Black Ajah by shaking his maracas and going chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom.
And then we've got, in the very first scene, Elaida stepped right out of the steno pool at some Wall Street outfit from the 50s. Then we got Savannah's snake thing. Couladin's apparently in Dakoval robes, and Gene Cade's in hot pants. I mean, there were some questionable decisions going on there.
well, well, Min has spent most of the last season in a pantsuit combination.
Right.
Ready for a board meeting. So,
Oh, and then Lanfear's headdress.
hey, you
Am
know
I the
what?
only one that
We can sum all
was
of
reminded?
yeah, we can sum all of this up in one very easy way. It's in Tanchico, man. It's Tanchico.
Except a
Everything go,
lot of that wasn't.
everything goes in Tanchico.
I mean, Lanfear's headdress during the scene where she was talking to Ravine
Yeah.
reminded me of Q's hat in Encounter at Farpoint,
Oh gosh.
and not in a good way,
No.
because there is a
It
good
might have
way
been
to
the
be
same
reminded of
way. I
that.
mean, maybe some of Paramount's old props made their way to Amazon.
Like, I was raving about the costuming in episode 1, and they just undid all of all of that.
Sorry, guys. All of that goodwill just thrown out the
Yeah.
window.
So we ran out of energy for good ideas. Now here's all the bad ones.
Let's just
Save them
wrap
for the
this
end.
up. Let's just, can't. It's the last episode. Can't be bothered. Well, what else production wise?
There was a really nice cinematography moment that you'll never really pick up on unless you watch the episode twice in a row. But as a light is getting ready for her coup, there's this halo of sun rays coming through the window screen behind her. And then it shows up later the same motif with that weird sun ray themed headdress, which it was weird, but Elida's headdress kind of worked for me.
It fit her character and how
Mm-hmm.
she views the position of the Amerlin.
Yeah, if somebody's going to wear a ridiculous hat, it's going to be Elaida.
Yes. And Lanfear, but we'll get to her later.
Right. But I thought it was a really nice touch that just a little echo of those two things that probably, unless you're a weirdo like us watching the thing twice sequentially, you're not going to see.
Oh, I guarantee you we're going to see that headdress again because Elaida's the type of person, and she will be the type of Amerlin that she's going to wear that thing every single chance she gets.
Right. So maybe we'll get that same shot with the sun behind her at another point, and he's like, "Oh, now we see the."
She's extra enough. She would use the power to change the direction of the sunbeams to light her
I
up.
think she probably did that during Swan's trial. It's like, we need the sun to be behind me during this.
Daughters, please change so I am resplendent in sunlit aura. Mother, it's 1:30 in the morning. Did I stutter?
Why is Elaida now the narrator from the beginning of Aladdin?
Because that's the best voice I can do for her, okay? Arabian Nights. Brian's a little delirious right now, friends. That's why I'm hitting his funny bone so squarely.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to go on to my next point, but I can't get there.
While you're doing that, we'll talk about Nynaeve for a second. I don't remember how she finally broke through her block in the books, but I liked how they did it in this episode. The callback of her with the child she never had, I think they could have chosen a better scene, but
I thought that they should have gone back to her hair braiding ceremony.
I think
we didn't see hers.
That would have been perfect. That'd have been perfect. Like, her actual mother. Who I don't remember like how old she was when her mom and dad died, but someone
she looked like she was 8 or 9.
Yeah,
I think.
but someone maternal, someone who cared for her, whether it's her mom or not. I mean, they could change the age for the show.
Well,
braiding
no,
her
I mean
hair.
that in the show,
Yeah,
she looked like she was about 8 or 9.
yeah. So, but doing that whole ceremony with her, and that'd have been a perfect moment for her to latch onto, and then
Mm-hmm.
the power erupt from her because I knew it was about to happen, especially when I just forgot her name, the Red Sister.
Leandrin
Thank you.
or
I've
Blowfield.
I've spaced her name every single moment. Leandrin says, "I'm about to kill the strongest Aes Sedai in 1,000 years." I'm like, wow, that was the same thing as if you had said, "What could go wrong now?"
Right.
You just
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
exactly. So
It's like, okay, sure, throw her in the water, but stick around to make sure the job is done.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm like, are you Doctor No or Doctor Evil? Because that's exactly the move you just pulled. Uh, she walks away, so we know she would, and Nynaeve frees herself, and some very provoking imagery, uh, parting the water, even semi biblical in how she steps out of it, but was a great effect.
Yeah, that scene was a big success and a massive failure for me in terms of VFX
Okay.
because the water sim was awesome. I loved that. But those chains looked so fake.
Oh, the ones that came up out, yeah, that was bad looking. That
Mm,
very late 2000s VFXy looking.
yeah, and a hand to Zoe Robbins for her drowning bit. I have no idea what it actually looks like when someone starts to drown, and I doubt most of the other viewers do either, but I was totally persuaded by that performance.
So was I. Enough that I thought, okay, this isn't where she's going to break through. Like Elaine or Tom or Matt, someone's about to jump into the water and pull her out.
Mm-hmm.
She had me convinced that this was it for her.
Yeah. The point at which she breaks through her block in the books is pretty much this situation, except it happened in the Ibudar arc,
Okay.
and Lan was there to pull her out of the water, but she had already rescued
Wait.
herself by the time he got there.
Yes, and she rewarded him quite appropriate for that, if I recall. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, right
And
on.
then we got 1,000 pages of her giggling over dresses.
Yeah. No, I just need good stout two woolens wool. Why are you wearing silk?
It's practical.
Exactly. Just another thing, friends. One of the many things that Robert Jordan, God bless him, he just needed to let go.
Yeah.
Um, and
What did you think about the balefire
as far as like how it looked,
and the after effect?
the after effect I thought was pretty cool. The damaged roof suddenly, I in my mind, instead of like it reversing time, almost like a rewind button, I always
Mm-hmm.
imagined that suddenly just the roof just would have
It just
appeared, bloop,
blinks. Yeah.
yeah, blinked back and it was there. And instead of like this purplish electrical arc, I saw it as like a beam of blinding white light.
Yeah, that was how it was described. It was a beam of white light that left a purple after image because it was so bright it like seared your retinas.
But you really can't have that in a TV show.
You could.
The searing bright light that burns your retinas.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
mean,
But no, I would have.
I've got an HDR TV and sometimes it does hurt my eyes,
Yeah,
but probably not that badly.
I think I would have enjoyed it a little more. It would have been a more visceral effect to be a beam of white light.
And happening like instantaneously, just somebody.
Yes, exactly.
But
Uh,
I did like that ghost thing with the reversing and everything. That I thought that was pretty cool looking.
I did as well. Um, and when that for Black Ajah was aiming it at Tom, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, no. I'm like, I'm like, I'm bargaining with the TV show. I'm like, you already took Loyal. You cannot take Tom.
I'll be done with the show if they do that to Tom.
And then,
Not really, but
yeah,
I'll sure think about it.
I'd be mad, be very mad. But then he got saved in the most appropriate way by Elaine,
Mm.
which, okay, that felt right.
I loved I don't often talk about editing because I don't really know anything about it,
Hmm.
but I loved that showdown sequence that they gave him. It's like
Hmm.
Sergio Leone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Got the guitar strum as he puts on his hat, and then he's coming out into the hallway, and you can almost hear the spurs.
He pulls out the pocket knives, and he's holding it almost like he would like a six gun.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
And I'm
And
like,
he's got the coat that looked like a trench coat. It was
hmm,
great.
yeah, very like the good, the bad, and the ugly
Hmm.
for a moment, and which I'm fine with.
Oh yeah.
No, I think everything with the Balefire. You know what? It's not that I hate the look of it. I'm just okay with it. I think it could
Hmm.
have been better. I wish it was a little different, but I don't hate it. But the after effect makes up for it.
Yeah, that was pretty much where I landed too.
I'm just glad that they remembered and they included the fact that it doesn't just kill someone and disintegrate them. It's reversing the It's erased, not even reversing. It's erasing them from the pattern.
Hmm.
And the stronger the beam, the further back it goes. I'm sure that they'll do more of an explanation on Balefire later to tell you what it really is all about.
Yeah.
I did find it very funny when the Forsaken are just, hanging out, just hanging out, put
Please put down
down
that Tuna Grail.
yeah. And I instantly had a flashback to the movie Armageddon. Get off the nuclear warhead.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because, friends, you have to understand that's exactly what this woman was doing. She
And they don't know how it works.
No, so she's. I'm just gonna throw some weaves into it. No, no big deal.
She's trying to turn it on in that scene, and she just got it aimed up at the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, here when she does try to use it, I'm like, I don't. I know that it's balefire and all, but I really didn't think balefire had that much of a kick. I mean,
Well,
there's no combustion there. Why is there recoil?
the that T round grill, as was described in the book, acted like that. It was very, very difficult to aim.
Okay, fair
Uh,
enough. But even
the
still,
spell itself, not so much, but that particular artifact.
so friends, it could be the most powerful weapon in the world, which that is one of them. It's no good if you can't aim it. Point control matters.
Yeah, I was impressed that Elaine was able to get her with the first shot.
Elaine had a much stronger grip on it.
Mm.
Um,
And she had also seen what it did, so
yeah, she's like prepare
she
for
may
the
have been ready
recoil.
for it.
I'll talk about Mogadine for a second.
Oh, let's.
More specifically, what she did to poor Samael. And I actually use the word poor because,
Dude.
dang, dude.
Yeah.
So was that macabre and horrifying? Yes. Did I think it was also pretty cool looking? Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. I'm not sure which category the Samael merging with Asmodean I want to put in, if that's Coplin talk or the positive stuff, but that particular ending from him is like, I'm going to forgive the fact that they just went ahead and gave away one of the bigger mysteries of the books, because I don't think Jordan ever really said definitively, like in the manuscript, that it was Mogadian.
yeah.
He only said so in like a an interview like 12 years later. But getting that particular scene was so gruesome and made Mokadian so scary that I
Yeah.
think it was worth it.
Like wow, she's gone full Hellraiser with this scene.
Mm.
And the fact that she did it slowly, it shouldn't surprise me, but it did for her. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then when Lanfear and Robin come in to see her handiwork or her stitch work, I should say. Uh, Lanfear is just basically gone full Disney villain at this point.
Yeah, she was a little maleficent.
Just a touch.
I could only see Q, so that went into Maleficent.
Well, Q sometimes went, partial full Disney villain. So
He did,
yeah, I mean they're both drama queens.
and I was half right about Samael's survival.
Yeah,
I didn't expect him to kick it in the very next episode.
you absolutely were right. I could not remember how he died in the books. Um, so it seemed like, oh, okay, Rand's gonna. I don't remember. Maybe Rand will get some information, some education out of him. Oh, there's nope, nope. He's done. The second she appeared on screen, I knew he was dead.
Mm,
I did like the way he talked. Not the way he talked. I liked what he said to Moraine.
mm-hmm.
I was a general. I was a visionary. I the I there were. Do you know how many armies there were in the age? None. I recreated the art of warfare. It's like, okay, that's a pretty
Yeah,
boss claim.
and he's so freaking arrogant. He's completely in her hands, but he's still unbent, throwing spite at her.
Mm-hmm. Exactly as one of the Forsaken would.
Mm-hmm.
A few things in this episode didn't make me so happy, though. I'm betting there were some for you as well.
A few, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not as many actually. When I started cataloging everything, not as many as I expected.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the very first scene that look back at the tower vote of who would be the next Amerlin?
Um,
Well, let me tell you my
I
gripe with it.
okay.
Like, we know that Soon is going to be voted in. The fact that
Mm-hmm.
she was up against Elaida, okay, fine. But the whole, like, how many for Soon? And only, like, 4 sisters stood up. And then they said, okay, now for Elaida Sedai. And one says, Soon. I'm like, no, that was weird and awkward. Like, I get what you were trying to do. Like, you were trying to build up anticipation. But no, that just felt weird and awkward.
Yeah,
The way
it needed
you did it.
some exposition
Yeah.
because I think this is going to be. Well, this is kind of my theory crafting, but I'm going to put it here anyway. We're going to see another Amerlin raised, I believe, at the end of the next season. And there's a whole big political thing where some of the sitters are just sitting there as long as they possibly can to show that I'm not going to be bullied into this decision.
So you think
And
that Elaida is going to be out already?
no, it's not going to be the White Tower Amerlin.
Okay.
Right.
Speaking of which, like, this is supposed to be where we witness the breaking of the tower.
Mm-hmm. I was so disappointed that it was just what we got.
Yeah, I was picturing it a much more turbulent event.
Mm-hmm.
Warder against warder, sisters against sisters. Um, yeah,
I expect we might get that at the beginning of the next season.
they
They'll
may.
use it as their big opening
Yeah,
bang.
I could picture that. Like, the tower in Civil War. That would make a pretty good opening for season 4. And frankly, there are a lot of sisters that are out of the tower, like the ones that Sion sent after the Red Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like if they could show that the tower is actually has more of a population than they've let on so far.
Yeah.
It only seems like there's really just a handful of Aes Sedai when there's supposed to be quite a few hundred.
Yeah, I don't remember what the tower's population was in the books. It was actually fairly small in comparison to its capacity.
Yeah, I remember that much, but it's still more than what we've seen on the show.
Yeah, it does seem like it's very sparsely populated.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like we had all of this stuff with the Andorran princes at the beginning of the season, and then we don't see them again.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're still
I hope that
they're
we
still
get
nursing off that embarrassment,
right.
embarrassed beating that they got at the hands of Matt.
Yeah, I felt betrayed by the way they treated Swan at the end of that, or through the whole season. We've talked about this several times because she spent the whole season not being the Swan Sanche that we knew, and then at the very end, she finally grows her spine back when it's too late for it to make a difference.
And then that spine is severed.
Right. I'd have been way happier if Elaida had to work harder
Mm-hmm.
because her opponent was formidable, as she should have been.
Yeah. What did you think of that, though? The fact that we get yet another jarring death in the form of Sion.
Yeah, it's another one of those things like Loyal. It's like I felt like it was unnecessary and a betrayal of the character, but I also see why it happened because of the rotating cast problem. and the impact, the relatively small impact on the story that Swan has
Mm-hmm.
from that point, because she was mostly just a viewpoint character to get us to Saladar.
Yeah. After the episode was done, I couldn't help but think in later seasons, who is going to do Gareth Bryn's laundry?
Yeah, I know he's going to have to uh, walk around Saladar with mud on his boots.
It's going to be holding like 5 or 6 pairs of short pants. Going, I feel like I was supposed to have someone to do these for me. So
Actually, as I
a
recall, he only
hole in the
had like
pattern.
2 pairs of socks
That sounds
because
about
he
right.
always had to do his own laundry. Egwene had to buy him some more outfits just so that he would look the part.
Yeah. Oh, at first I had a really big gripe about how Rand was talking to Lanfear in the dream. I'm like, he's being
Mm-hmm.
way too suave,
Yeah,
way
I thought
too
the same thing.
manipulative to hear. I'm thinking either their right, their writing for him is really inconsistent one scene to the next. Like, you expect me to believe this is the same guy who is barely holding it together as he's harvesting fruit. Um, but then I thought for a moment, wait, is this is this Luz Theron starting to peek through?
I thought the same thing too.
And then
And
he
then
and
I
Egwene
thought,
wake up, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's a whole manipulation.
yeah, and then I thought maybe it's Ravine weaving the mirror of mists.
That'd be
Like,
funny.
I had a lot of different thoughts came
Yeah.
through my head, and then they did the reveal. I'm like, I get it now.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
He did have a change in countenance, though, particularly in that scene where he was talking to Moraine,
Yes, he did. Yes.
which I liked that scene a lot. But
That was a scene I was
it
not expecting, and it hit a lot harder than I was expecting it to.
mm-hmm.
Just the fact that he there was realizations like they've been at each other's throats the last 2 seasons, 2.5 really. But telling her, I know what you've done. I know why you've done it. Thank you. And we're right with
Yeah.
Moraine. All of us are about to shed a tear over that. I still hold a knife to your throat. Moraine, read the room.
Well, she's being the most honest that she ever has been with him.
True. I think that's because she knows that she has to be.
Mm-hmm. And we don't get her interior uh, thoughts in this because obviously it's a television show and they don't want to do the cheesy "Can you read my mind" from Superman.
Or the mind, or like what David Lynch did in Dune.
Right. But in the book, we do get her interior state, and she was thinking leading up to this that, or maybe immediately right after it, that she just remembered how you control Sidar, and you don't do it by fighting it. You do it by surrendering, and that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much what she's doing here. She's like, you know what? No, you're the one in control, Rand, and I'm going to help you every way I can. And in the process, she's just sinking more hooks
Yeah, letting him know that,
because
but
she's
also,
Moraine, and it's what she
yeah,
does.
well, also it's what Aya said I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I also appreciate the honesty. He's like, it's my job to get you to the last battle, but only if you're sane,
Mm-hmm.
and only if you do it for the light. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
cool.
good scene. Good scene.
Yep.
I did have one more bit of Copland talk
I got a couple.
before we get too deep. Okay, well, if you've got a couple, you go ahead for the next one.
Okay. How does Min know CPR?
Well, remember, this is after the Age of Legends. Maybe this bit of knowledge trickled down, and somebody remembered. Oh, if you hit somebody in the chest a lot, they'll wake up from dead.
You know,
I don't
when
know.
the giant Aes Sedai sphere was coming down on the village, I thought I saw a Red Cross center down there. So I mean,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Um, you know,
yeah. I thought the same thing. Like CPR, really?
yeah, I like how even though it's in the wrong place, that the red doorway, uh, his hanging and what happened afterwards is pretty. He gets his medallion. He gets his. Is it called an ashendari?
Something like
The
that.
weapon, like the spear glaive thing. I was
Hmm.
really worried that he wasn't going to get that, because that was
That they
always
were going
what.
to substitute that dagger on the pole
Oh,
with
don't
it.
even get me started back on that again. Um, that was one of my favorite weapons in the book, because in real life I've seen how effective a glaive can be. So I liked that. I like that they, a couple of seconds after she gets him on the ground, um, you begin to see the bruise around his throat form. I am curious about why you hit the Black Ajah with a stick and then use the
And
knife
finish
to cut him down. Like,
yeah.
wait, no, that's
Use the knife for
no,
both jobs.
yes. I mean, he's dead. The second it takes to stab this woman in the throat, pull it out, and then throw it, isn't going to make him any deader.
Hmm. It'll be fine. She's probably dead from that blow.
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine. Um, and we get our first look at Matt's fox head medallion,
Hmm.
which it took me a few moments to finally see the fox in the
Yeah, because it
fox head
was.
medallion. It looks like someone did origami with tinfoil. It is ugly. That looks like a freshman shop class student put that together.
I was thinking it looked like something you might find in a Crate and Barrel.
Yeah. I mean, it took me a while to even see the fox. I have a possible theory about why they did that. It could be because they don't want it to be too similar to the Witcher's medallions
Mm.
that are described in those books and on the Netflix TV show, because they both kind of function in similar ways. They both have an animal on them, either shaped like an animal's head or have the relief of an animal on them. And in The Witcher, the medallions sense magic being used or the
Hmm.
supernatural. And here it reflects the magic or the power. So I don't know. Either way, you could have done better, props department. You could have done a lot better. Um, my final gripe: the fight between Moraine and Lanfear and
Hmm.
Lan. Um, we've seen Moraine and Lan work together
Yeah.
very well. Did y'all have y'all just not practiced enough? There's even a scene where Lan gets through with his power wrought blade and slices open Lanfear. And all
And he
they
didn't follow up.
that's what I have written down in capital letters in my notes. Lan,
Mm.
follow through. They just both stare at the cut. I'm like, okay, Lan, turn in your heron marked blade. You cut your opponent and you didn't immediately follow through with another blow or with a killing blow. I mean,
Yeah.
uh
And at the end, Lanfear had so many chances, so much time to finish Moraine off, but she just stands there.
yeah.
There's one of the I was doing a survey of werewolf transformations once, and one of the Howling movies had this same problem where there's this werewolf transformation that takes at least a minute and a half. It is super long. And there's this woman watching it happen, screaming with a bucket of lye in her hands. But she waits until the werewolf is fully transformed and dangerous before she throws a lye. Like, if you had done that any time in the last minute, you would have killed it.
Hmm.
The same problem with Lanfear here.
Well, here's the thing: the fight shouldn't have even gone on that long to begin with.
Hmm.
Is Lanfear one of the Forsaken? Yes. Is she the most powerful now that Ishmael is toes up? Probably. But if the Saw Angriel that Moraine is holding is supposed to be as powerful as they have made it out to be, this fight should never have gone on past the first few moments.
Hmm.
Moraine should have creamed her,
I agree.
but
She
instead she
should have
was
been
constantly on
iced.
the back foot. But then that wouldn't have made for a good episode and riveting
That's true.
television. So, okay, what was your final Copland talk?
Alcair Doll. This is supposed to be a perfect amphitheater, but instead it's like this shallow bowl filled with sand. And like, there's no way you'd be able to hear anybody in that thing. And the Aiel are perfectly capable of maintaining their important sites. It's not like everything has to be in ruins all the time.
Yeah. Like I said, they've made the Aiel waste just a little too waste like.
Yeah, I thought at first that that weird thing Savannah was wearing was some kind of Tirangriel to amplify her voice, but then she didn't actually say very much. So I was like, well, that wasn't the case. It's just a stupid looking piece of costuming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, on to some stuff we did like.
Yes. I did like the first scene where we saw Rand harvesting. Was he doing
Mhm.
it out of a heartbroken sense of toe? Yeah. But I liked seeing Rand acting like a farmer again. Because
Mhm.
that's who he is. It's what he is. And to see him kind of just helping out the Aiel or just doing anything, and whether it's because he believes he owes a debt or just in needing of some personal comfort, he goes back to those actions.
Mhm.
And I liked that.
Yeah, the poor guy needs something to take his mind off what's happened.
Yeah.
And it's something that needs to be done, and it's something that he promised to do, and it pays homage to the girl that he failed to save.
Hmm.
So yeah, lovely, touching scene.
Um, we got more Tom in this episode,
Yes.
which that will always be in my changes in the pattern. Uh, I liked that line he said, and I believe that it's one that he said in the first book. Something along the lines of, I have a problem watching children die.
Mhm.
And then every single scene between Tom and Elaine. That was good stuff.
Yeah, I kind of felt like there was maybe a couple of lines that got skipped because it was like we didn't get any of the Elaine's reaction of "How the heck do you know me?"
Mm-hmm.
It's just they went straight to "Oh, I remember when you were a child," and she doesn't say
You
"How
were
do you remember when I was a child?"
you came up to my knee. Oh, that'd have been right before Lord Gabriel came. Like, who? Like, okay,
More significantly, that
yeah,
would have been right after my father was murdered.
yeah. I did appreciate that they stuck a pin in. I don't know who that guy is. I keep an eye on the Andorran court. I've never
Mm-hmm.
heard of him, and they took a moment for him to have an eye to eye serious moment. He, your mother is in danger. Her
Mm-hmm.
throne is in danger. And he said, I will give my life for you to keep you safe. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, attaboy, Tom. Let's not go that far yet, okay? We just got you back. But
Well, he sure tried.
oh yeah, he did. Um, but once again, we talked about it before, and I know we talked about it before, but I'm mentioning it again. His showdown, his high noon showdown
Mm-hmm.
with Black Ajah. She's got you know a rod of nuclear fire.
And he's got a pointy thing.
I don't know what balefire would do to a person. Let's find out. It's like, not if I kill you first. I'm glad Elaine saved him, but I can't tell you how satisfying it would be if while she is cackling evilly or monologuing, you just see him flick his wrist and a knife appear in her forehead.
Mm-hmm. Although I have to say, he's really got to get over this tendency of getting into knife fights with things he has no business getting into knife fights
Yeah.
with.
It's the gleeman in him. He's longing for
Yeah.
that heroic death, which songs will be sung by other people because it won't be him.
Oh, he's already written the song. He's got it tucked away in a folio somewhere. It's
In
like,
one of the many
if
pockets in that gleeman's coat.
Dear Moraine, if killed by Fade, publish this one. If killed by Dark Friend Aes Sedai, publish this one.
If killed by the Dark One himself, publish these three.
And then Moraine actually publishes all of them and just distributes the endings at random, so it'll be like that movie Clue.
In this episode, Tom Maryland will be played by Tim Curry. We finally get to the Red Arch. In fact, not just
Yes.
here, but we see we see the pair of
Twice.
them. One in the White Tower, which we surmised it might be, and one in Tanchico. And I'm going to go back on what I said. Everything is in Tanchico, man. all the stuff is everything's happening in Tanchico. We're wrong. The last battle will be held in Tanchico. Talked about Matt, that whole scene, which was
I
good.
liked Matt struggling with the sursa, the chopsticks. Why is nothing a fork?
That was, and Nynaeve just making it look easy. What did he say to her? Like, you're torturing me.
Yeah.
And then when she sees it's them, he turns around. He's got a noodle just hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah. But Nynaeve was so obnoxious and ineffectual during most of the middle part of the books that I like her, this having her be an immediate expert with chopsticks. It was kind of a nice change for the character.
Yep. I put down Sion's speech. We already covered that, but it was moving. It
It
was
was a good speech.
very well written, which made what happened next all the more jarring. Um,
I was wondering about that. The three oaths would have prevented an Aes Sedai who was bound by them from killing someone that they didn't know to be a dark friend.
well, would them they
But
said that they had already had the trial
mhm,
and had uh, decided that she was guilty.
yeah,
So would then the oaths? Would she not be bound by the oaths?
that's what I was wondering. But then there's also the little quibble that the person who killed her was Alviaran, who of course is not bound by that oath and also knows that Swan is not a dark friend. So that was tangled. If anybody stops to think about that, Alviaran's in trouble.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think a lot of them just aren't thinking. Um, anything else?
Yeah. They evaded Nynaeve versus Mogadian in favor of Nynaeve versus Leandrin,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was probably the smart choice. Because once, of course, Lanfear didn't die, but we thought she was going to at the end of this. But once Lanfear is out of the picture, we're going to need another big bad. And I think Mogadian is a great choice for it.
Agree. Please help me remember which is the Forsaken that they eventually capture.
That's
That
Mogadian.
is, and then interrogate
Mm-hmm.
and start getting all sorts of education from.
Yeah.
I
And
look for.
all of
I
that was
look.
kind of inspired by what happened
Yeah.
in Tanchico in the books.
I look forward to that scene for no other reason than the actress playing Mogadine to see her reaction to
Mm-hmm.
being caught in a web herself.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty fantastic. It's supposed to be, if the timings of the move of the show follow the timings of the books, that would happen at the end of season 4, I think.
Hmm.
So it may come relatively quickly, but they built her up so much that I rather think that she's going to continue to be the uber villain for a while,
I agree. Um,
and I'm fine with that.
me too. Me too. Um,
I like that Moraine dressed up for her date with Lanfear.
yep. Well, when you're about to fight someone like that, you dress up. You know, you put on some nice clothing. You know, this is the day they might die. It's a big day in their life.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to make sure they know they're not being put down by a schlub.
yeah, yeah. Matt, take notes.
I don't think Matt cares if people think he's a schlub. Well, although maybe if he keeps dressing like a pinata, maybe that have to revise my opinion on him.
See, we'll get
Well,
him in the mariachi outfit. We're getting Min back in her sensible pantsuit, and we'll make it a 1980s buddy cop series.
oh, I like this idea.
Yeah.
Matt and Min just making their way across the Westlands, which that name kind of bothers me. Why did they name this continent the Westlands if it's further west? There's nothing further east than it that anybody knows about.
Yeah.
You've got the Aiel Waste, which nobody wants to go there. So why call this the Westlands? Why not call this something else and that the Eastlands? That always has been kind of bugging me. But that's totally beside the point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that decision was actually made prior to the show being made.
Makes sense. Well, we've got with the end of one season, we've got a whole nother one ahead of us.
Yep.
So obviously, with as much as they've name dropped it, Rand has to go to Tyr now, and he has to make a claim for Kalendor. So we know where part of the season is going to be held.
Yeah, I'm not entirely confident that they're not going to just do another big fake out again and have Rand's confrontation with Ravine at the end of season 4 and have the Shan take the Stone of Tyr.
I hope not.
But
That's a little outside of the continuity of the books. Um, at this point, though, who knows? I mean, we
mm-hmm.
might get to the first episode of season 4, and there's Rand sitting on the throne of Tyr with the crown of swords on his head and holding Calendar. Like, wow, that was easy.
That was easy.
Yeah. And we just walked. You Aiel just walked right in and took it. I mean, phew. Yes, praise the Karkarn. Yes, praise the Karkarn. I really thought that'd be drawn out more. We just, not even doing a flashback. Let's move forward.
Of course, I think we're going to have Fail, Bane, and Shiad rescuing Perrin, but I'm not sure if this is going to happen somewhere like episode 2, or if they chase him all the way to Amador and get him back in episode 7 or 8. It could go either way.
Maybe they've switched it up. Instead of Fail being the one who's been captured for forever and a day, it's Perrin who they just can't seem to get back.
See, Nynaeve, Elaine, Min, and Matt, I think, will wind up in Saladar. Did they capture any of the dream Tirangriel that the Black Ajah had?
I don't believe they did. I think the only Tirangriel they got their hands on that we saw in this episode was the Balefire.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Maybe Min did go back and finish off Chesmal and take that one, take whatever she had on her.
But now that we know that that Liandrin and Mogadine have quote unquote left the building, they might go back in and just search around, because if there was the collar, the balefire rod, and the red doorway, the red arch, they might actually think logically for a second and think, oh, there might be more.
Yeah, and they had all of the drawings of the Tirangriel that the Black Ajah stole, so they know that it's more than just the fluted rod.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They have an idea about where the Black Ajah were staying now, so they might go back and look through those rooms. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
But if the Aes Sedai at Saladar don't have a way to reach the realm of dreams, then we've got to get Egwene to Saladar in a different fashion.
Which I'm kind of ready for the parting between her and Rand to take place.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's past time, frankly. But let's get it done. She's got stuff to do. So does Rand.
Yeah, they didn't get their clean break because the breakup scene was interrupted by a Forsaken attack. I don't know. Did they ever finish that conversation?
Nope.
Let's just put a pin on that, and I'm going to grieve for a while.
That's why when Egwene comes to tell him that the wise ones are ready, he's sitting there, barely holding it together over a gourd, and she's still a little scornful with him, which can't blame her. Let's be honest.
She got reason.
He's not blameless here. So there's at this point there's no repairing that rift. So let's move on.
And the balance between Egwene and Rand, that she is the one person in pretty much the whole world, her and Cadsuane, that he just cannot push around.
Yeah.
So I think that it's high time for for her to step up and be the powerful person that she is.
Do you think we will see Cadswain in this next season?
Next season, I don't think so. It'd be a little early for her to appear.
Well,
I
I mean,
wouldn't mind.
people are dying a lot sooner than they should be. In some places, not at all. So, I mean, at this point, I think almost anything could happen.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to remember when she came out of retirement. I think she showed up while Rand was still in Ondor, or maybe when he was bouncing between Ondor and Kyrian. Um, so that would have been sometime in like Lord of Chaos, I guess.
Let's see. I guess it's not really important. Both of us, I think, are looking it up. You know what? We can move on.
Right.
I think that was it for me, honestly. It was the
Yeah,
this was the strongest season by far.
absolutely.
I mean, if this were a Star Trek show, Riker would have grown his beard in this season. So they've hit their stride. The actors are doing fantastic things with the characters. I believe and hope that the later seasons are going to be just as strong.
Mm-hmm. I think that we're probably seeing more and more divergence from the books. And I hope that we don't get too annoyed by that, but that it unshackles the screenwriters to really do some cool things. I think we've got a lot of great stuff in store for us.
Agreed.
As long as Amazon keeps renewing it, I will probably be very happy.
Agreed. And with the ratings that it has been getting and the new attention that it has been getting as well, I think we've got many seasons ahead of us.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, friends, we've enjoyed talking about this latest season of Wheel of Time. I hope it won't be too long until we return for our next season of Woolheads. Until then, duty is heavier than a mountain. Death is lighter than a feather.